Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices. Food Giant. A proud sponsor of TV19 News and Sports. Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970.
Good evening, Lee Allen Pegram along with Dr. Christopher Cummins. Ask Dr. Cummins show. Welcome to us tonight. We'd like to first of all start out with the 587-8176 phone number. Please give that a call and ask your questions. Complete privacy. We won't call names. You don't even have to tell us who you are. Just ask the question and we'll try to get it answered for you. Good evening, Dr. Cummins.
Good evening, Lee Allen. How are you tonight?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Nobody listens when we do they?
Nope. Just keep on going.
I want to start off. We've got a hotbed of questions are coming from one place, and I would like to say thank you. It is Styles by Daryl. That is a beauty shop in Faulkner, Mississippi. Daryl Jeter is the proprietor. And those ladies in that shop are asking a lot of questions. And I want everybody to know that the Styles by Daryl Beauty Shop in Faulkner, Mississippi, we certainly appreciate your participation on our program that we have on Thursday nights at 6:30. And we want you to know that both Dr. Cummins and myself appreciate it. You're helping us out with a lot of good questions, and just keep it up. Wouldn't you say that, Dr. Cummins?
Keep them coming. We're enjoying it.
I'd say that about 50 to 75% of our conversations on this program come from Styles by Daryl.
That's great.
So thank you, ladies. Keep it up. We certainly appreciate your participation.
So there's Dr. Moms out there.
Exactly, and they probably know more than me and you will ever know.
They're smart.
They are, and they got a lot of good questions, and that's where this one came from. And we'll just dive right into it. Unless, do you have anything you might want to mention announcement-wise, maybe?
Well, the only thing for December, I'm sure we both want to wish everybody
Well, of course.
happy holiday season. Christmas is coming quick, and watch what you eat out there. Don't eat too much of it. But other than that, December is National Drunk and Drugged Driving Prevention Month, and it's also Safe Toys and Gifts Month. So those are two things to think about. And from December 5 through December 11 is National Hand Washing Awareness Week. So all those things to help prevent spread of disease, something to think about. Good sanitary.
Do you see from your people that come into your office, is it a prevalent call? But do you see a lot of let's say what you might want to say accidents from toys that have toy problems? I mean, have you had that?
I've not seen as much here, but when I was in East Tennessee in my residency, they had children who'd like get a hold of stuff that was out of there, or they were too young for the toy.
Right.
You know, pay attention to when that thing says for 4 and above, 6 and above. There's a reason why they put that on there, and a lot of it has to do with the capacity of the child, or the reason that this thing can hurt him or herself, and then also how they can their dexterity, whether they can actually manipulate something, or if it's a choking hazard, get it in their mouth. Because when they're little, that's kind of the way they learn about stuff. Is
They're
putting it in
going
the
head
mouth.
first into it. They're going to discover the toy.
And so I've not seen a lot of that here, but do follow those guidelines, and I think you'll be safe.
Well, I mean, everybody's concerned about that, and you're buying the toys for a happiness, and you sure don't want it to turn into something bad. So,
Yes,
that's
right.
the doc's saying sit there, and if it says 4 and above, don't buy a 2-year-old a 4 and above toy, I guess. And that's the safe way.
Follow those safe guidelines, and still, even if it's something that may be in their age range, you may need to, if it says with supervision, do it with supervision.
And your electrical toys. I know one of the greatest toys I ever received was an electric train, but if you'll notice on those electric trains, it's got 8 and up.
Yep.
So a 6-year-old or a 4-year-old, might not be cool for them to have an electric train.
No, it may not. And also, I know, I believe in our neighboring county, we lost a husband and wife due to a Christmas tree catching on fire.
Yeah,
And, cut them things off when y'all go to bed.
yeah.
Just those little lights get hot, and our heart goes out to those people and their families. But be safe with all the extra stuff that we put out. I know some people think, well, let's leave it on, it looks pretty. It ain't worth it.
No.
Just cut them lights
No,
off.
it's not worth losing your home or your life. That's
right.
that goes without saying. Well, all right, Doc, let's jump right into this is from Styles by Darrell. We ought to start calling it that way. And once again, ladies, keep the questions coming. We appreciate it. What is a pituitary tumor? Is it possible to have one and not know it? Where is the pituitary? Where is it located, and what does it do? Tell us a little bit about a pituitary. I guess is it a pituitary gland?
It's a gland.
All right,
It's a
give us-
gland. It's but the pituitary gland falls in as part of what we call the endocrine system. The endocrine system is things that regulate things such as our hormones and things like that. Other things that fall in there is your thyroid gland, your pancreas, things like that. You also have parathyroids and stuff. It's mainly a lot of glands, if you will. But the pituitary gland actually sits in what is called the sella turcica, which is a round part up in your brain. If you would look, imagine if you're looking in a mirror, you're looking at your face, it's like almost back behind your nose. And it's a lot of important things up in that area. But the sella turcica, which is a Latin term, it's like a seat where that dude sits, is where the pituitary gland is located. Now, the pituitary gland can get enlarged, and you can develop a tumor there. It can be cancerous or not cancerous. And yes, it is certainly possible to have a tumor there and not know about it. Most of the time, those things are benign or not malignant.
Well, how would you know if you had a problem? Pain?
Well, it's kind of like it just starts getting so big. You have part of your cranial nerves, especially your optic nerve, your vision, crosses over right around that pituitary gland. So that dude starts getting big, starts rubbing on that nerve, and increases it and causes changes in your vision.
Okay, so you could
you-
have a loss of vision.
Visual disturbances, things not looking like they normally do. You also might experience headache, nausea, and vomiting, stuff like that, because your brain, you have a skull, and that dude doesn't stretch.
Right. It's not
And,
going to. That's
so
right.
If you feel so much stuff in there that was not supposed to be there, you're going to get sick somehow. You'll have some kind of thing, but that's when it can get pretty big.
So how do you treat that through radiation? How do you radiate something? You couldn't radiate something that close to your eyes or anything.
They do different things, and sometimes they'll even cut out notches in the skull and go in, or
Ooh.
it can be some serious neurosurgery going on. But it depends again whether it is cancerous or whether it's not cancerous. It could be just a tumor, just a large growth. And then though you have different treatments for different whether it's malignant or not.
Right. And of course, I guess the radiation would come in. Can you go with that? Can you live without the pituitary gland? Like you can the thyroid gland?
If you have your proper supplements and things like that, it's not a problem. But I shouldn't say it's not a problem, but you'll have to monitor a lot of different things, because the pituitary, the way, I had this Indian doctor from India that was talking about the pituitary, and he talks about that's the little man inside your brain it's regulating your temperature, your stuff like that.
Oh, man, that's important.
It's important.
Yeah.
And you can lose parts of it, and there are supplements and medicines to treat it, but your life will be different if you ever have that ablated or removed.
Okay,
For sure.
that's real key, I guess,
Oh, yeah.
on the fever and the aspect of that.
I guess you could almost think of it like, for computer people out there, and I'm not a total computer person,
Right.
but you got like a hard drive, then you have your little microprocessor
Right.
that kind of calculates out. That's kind of where that's kind of going.
It's a gig.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, all right, interesting question. All right, well, thank you. I hope that answered your question. Let me go to our second one. This is something that's as broad as it is long, but it was asked, so I'm going to ask it. It says, what are some of the things that we can do to slow down Alzheimer's? Word puzzles to keep you alert. Are those type things in your older age? Playing checkers or bridge or something on the computer or solitary? Those type of things that you use your mind if you're not as active as you used to be. Do those type of things help?
There are certainly things you can do to fend off an early onset of Alzheimer's or disease or dementia Alzheimer's type. And things like that are word puzzles, a lot of reading.
Anything to generate an interest from the mind.
Just to keep that mind going, but supplementation with vitamins, especially thiamine, has been proven to help with brain stress.
Thiamine,
It's a type of
T-H-Y-M-I-N-E.
B vitamin. I think it's
yeah.
B1 if I'm not mistaken. And the word puzzles, a secondary language, learning a foreign language,
Well, I never thought about that.
has
Yeah.
been proven to help. But anything, you just getting them those neurons in your brain to talk to each other, and it's like any other muscle or part of the body. The more you use it, it gets better and stronger. But if you
Right.
don't use it, it atrophies and you lose it. So you need to that brain is meant to be
It's
challenged.
kind of recharging your batteries.
That's right. And but good nutrition, exercise, all those type things. But reading, crossword puzzles, solitaire, those type games and activities are really good. And but I know a secondary language is another one that's been proven to be helpful.
Well, I hope that answered your question. I learned something on that, and I never really thought at my age to learn a secondary language, but that with the access they have out there to everything, it wouldn't be that hard to do.
And the studies show, it doesn't mean that you have to be.
You don't have to be fluent,
right?
you know.
You don't have to be fluent in it. It's just stimulating that brain to learn it.
Right.
So I know when I took French in high school, all us with the southern accents and all, they would play the record on a long play when it was meant for 45, so we
Yeah.
could understand the French.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, but we still stimulated our brains and did what we're supposed to.
Well,
So-
that's a good point. Use that. That may help. Another, and to tail off on that question, and then they kind of ask what's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. Dementia is not Alzheimer's. What is that?
Well, dementia. Well, let me reverse that. Alzheimer's is a type of dementia.
Okay, Alzheimer's is a type of dementia.
Dementia is a spectrum of diseases, and those that have been watching this show for a little while, you always hear me going back to that because everything's kind of a spectrum of disease. But there's different types of dementia. Dementia, Alzheimer's type, Lewy body dementia.
Yeah, I've heard you
Or
mention
you'll
that.
hear people say senile dementia. And I'm never going to tell one of my patients they have senile dementia. I'm not going to tell them they're senile. But
Senile is just flat being mean, isn't it?
It's
Just
just-
cantankerous, or
it's just getting old.
just getting old. That's
Just
right.
getting old is all it is, and or more mature for the politically correct folks out
Right.
there. And so you have a lot of different kinds of dementia. And Alzheimer's disease is just simply one.
It's a
of them.
form of dementia.
Right.
Well, I hope that answered your question. And with that, Tony, if you're ready, we'll go to our break, and we'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors. I don't think Tony's ready, so let me go to one more question right quick. It says, this is interesting, this is kind of new, and we're all facing it over the last 30 days. It's kind of come across, but what the radiation scanners at the airport.
Right.
There's got to be a danger. The question is there any danger from this? There's got to be, because you got people that don't know what they're doing running it. Now, is there any danger from the radiation at the airport? Could there be a danger from it?
I have a good friend who is a nuclear physicist who has done some studies and has been real, I guess, in the movement to get those things out of there. And yes, there is risk. You know, especially if you're a frequent flyer, continual bombardment of radiation over a period of time we know that's just not helpful. And
well, you know, in the hospital, when you go and have a chest X-ray, the man leaves the room.
Right. Right.
You know, that tells you something.
So yeah, it's I think all of that stuff needs to be addressed, and I know for some people in I guess in the medical field or in other fields who are typically non-political don't want to get in there and discuss this stuff. But I think our leadership and people who really love this country and where we're from and all that need to stand up and be counted here, because we're not only advocates for the general public health, but we're advocates for our future children and all that too. And having them growing up in this type of society that's allowing this, I do not think this is what we want. Like I say, these people are not trained. They're not radiologic technicians.
They're not. There ain't no way that anybody could get certified in a 6-month program to be qualified to go and bombard somebody with radiation.
And then the other thing is, this is known not to deter terrorism.
Right. You know, what are they looking for?
It's a show of force, but the wrong people are still slipping by because they don't want to stereotype them. And, you know, the big picture that circulated here recently was the one of the nun being patted down and frisked by, it looked like somebody who was wearing what's it called, a hijab, or the Muslim covering, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a total reverse of what I think the goal was originally.
That's right.
And so I think this stuff is run amok, and hopefully all that's. I know.
Well, I know they got bill. Looks like they're trying to at least put that on pause until they give further review. Right. I think is what they.
I know
say.
Ron Paul has introduced. Congressman Ron Paul has introduced a airline passenger safety and dignity act or something like that. So let's just hope and pray that works, and let's get that radiation.
You know, some
reduced.
young lady might be going through there that has no idea she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And, you know, hadn't been diagnosed as pregnant yet, and she may get bombarded by some jerk over there making $5 an hour. That's what they pay them. They don't get me wrong, they don't pay them. They're minimum wage people running a very maximum hurt situation to the body.
Yeah, it's an expensive piece of equipment. And I don't necessarily think that all the people that are doing it are out there, because I don't want to think the TSA people think we're just gunning all them down. But that it's just some people say that the revolution eats its young. And I think they're just victims of what's, you know, they just got a bad job, man.
It's a bad job.
It's a thankless task.
It's a dirty job, and somebody's going to do it, and they happen to be the ones doing it. And I'm not dishonoring their position. A job is, if that's what they choose to do, that's fine.
They're not going to win in that position.
No,
there's a tough job.
Well, it goes beyond the radiation. It goes down to groping women's breasts. You know, it just gets into a lot of things that they didn't realize. I don't think they gave out a lot of thought before they came
and like
up with it.
one person described it as, these are things you would be embarrassed if your spouse did it in some instances, and even embarrassed to do it with your doctor in the doctor's office.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so I mean, much less in the public in front of your children.
In front of your children and anybody else is sitting there watching. So, all right. Well, that was a question we had. I tell you what, Tony, we're going to go to our break. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
Yeah, I think that.
Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine. 100% veteran owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices. Food Giant. A proud sponsor of TV19 News and Sports. Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970.
We're back, and we certainly ask that you call 587-8176 and give us a question to answer for you on our program here tonight or on in the future. We'll certainly give you try to get you an answer, and we would appreciate it if you would participate with us and help us out with your questions. Now, I'm going to explain this next one, and the only way I can do it is you're just going to have to listen to it. It just ain't a cut and dry. What's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? All right. I wake up in the morning, and I'm sitting here, and my eye feels like it's got grit in it. So I start rubbing my eye, all right? I do that for a day, and then I notice I might start getting a little bit of sinus, all right? Well, I go to sleep, and then the next morning I wake up, and it's worse, and I start rubbing it a little bit harder. I go and I get me some sinus medication. I start taking it, all right? But it appears that it's settling in my left eye, and now all of a sudden right here in my temple I'm starting to get a little pain ache, okay? All right, I do the eye drops to try to clear my eye up, thinking there's something in it, but there's not. I take my sinus medicine. I go to sleep. I wake up the next day, and now the grittiness is worse, and I got an earache now. Am I on to some kind of something that's happening? Is that a crazy question?
No, well,
what might be going on?
There's several things that could be going on with that scenario.
All right.
There's one thing in layman's terms, it's basically dry eye syndrome, is when your lubricating ducts or your tear ducts are not making enough tears to keep your eyes moist.
All right.
Now, that can happen. It can be made worse by central air and heat, or a fan blowing on you, or if you've had laser surgery or other type eye surgeries. Dry eyes like that, and then rubbing them when they're dry without proper lubrication can actually lead to corneal abrasions or scratches in the cornea, which when your eyes, like if you blink your eyes, you do feel like you have grit underneath them, and it's just like a little micro tear. Mm-hmm. And certainly you may need antibiotics or steroid drops along with moisturizing drops to treat that.
Okay, so a Visine or a Clear Eyes or something of that nature over the counter at Walmart wouldn't be the thing.
No, and actually that can actually irritate it and make it worse.
Okay.
Another thing that it could be is when you talk about it, anytime when you speak to a physician and you talk about a headache right here, mm-hmm. and you have some kind of visual change or something not right with the eye, the first thing I think a well-trained doctor would think about would be something called temporal arteritis. It's when the temporal artery gets inflamed, and if that is what it is and it's not treated in a timely fashion, usually by an ophthalmologist, the person can go blind.
Oh, gracious.
And that is, it's big on board exams and stuff because there's few specific tests you can do to test for it. But if somebody comes in those scenarios, they're probably gonna get a blood count and a little test called a SED rate, which tells, it's like a general test of inflammation in your body, and get you to an eye doctor, especially with visual changes and that kind of a headache on either side of your temple.
Well, this settled in the left, and it started in the temple, and now it's gone back to where it might be. She described it as an earache, but the whole thing was hurting on the left side.
So, and it could just range from some kind of sinus or allergy irritation going on, but you know, again, it's a spectrum around them.
Yeah, well,
And,
of course, yeah, around the world in 80 days, but that should, I hope that answered that question to the point that the person that's got that problem would seek
Right.
some type of an opinion.
If you have a
specialist.
headache and your vision is messed up and it's on either side of your temple, you need to see a doctor.
Okay, well, would you go to the doctor first? Yeah, well, yeah, you'd have to go to the doctor first, and then he could make the recommendation whether you needed to go to.
Right. He might be able to save you a visit to an ophthalmologist at that point, and it would need to be done if that's something that's not going away.
Well, then you get into an ophthalmologist and an optometrist.
Right.
There's a difference there.
Yeah.
An ophthalmologist would be more detailed behind the eyes.
Yeah.
An ophthalmologist would be more, an optometrist would be more or less glasses doctor.
Yep. An ophthalmologist is an MD, medical doctor, and they typically can do surgery of the eye.
Like cataract surgery.
Correct. And then you have an optometrist who is a doctor of optometry or optometric doctor. I believe they have OD after their name. And I have to be real careful because I have an uncle that's an optometrist and a cousin that's an ophthalmologist.
Yeah.
And they have some
Well, there's
interesting
a big
go-rounds about who's doing what and who does it the best. But I think one of the best examples of that combination is over in Tupelo at Mothershed Clinic over there, Weston and Mothershed. They actually have optometrists and ophthalmologists working together, so they can exist in harmony, and they can really work good together and take good care of patients.
Okay, so I hope that answered your question, and if you've got that problem, go see your doctor. Sounds like to me you need to. We've got very little time left, so I'll hit one that's not maybe quite as detailed. It says a lot of old ladies, okay? And I'm not picking on old ladies, but this is the way the question was asked. A lot of old ladies are bothered with the dry, flaky skin, and it gets worse in the wintertime. Is there a supplement that you can take to help for that dry, flaky skin? Besides the lotions, is there a supplement that would help that situation?
That's what you call that's a soft toss to me. Yeah, we certainly got some supplements in the clinic. One called Skin, Hair, and Nails. You can always go by there and get a brochure, samples, and an audio CD that will tell you about it. But what she's describing sounds like something called xerosis, which is a fancy word meaning dry skin.
Dry, flaky
But
skin. On
we
the
often
feet,
call it
you know,
winter itch. And it does get worse in the wintertime. We have stuff for your bath water that's recommended, things like linseed oil and stuff like that. There's certain things you can do to make that better, but moisturizing that skin is very important. And I know a lot of men out there think it may be kind of foo-foo type stuff to do that, but what it does, it reduces those cracks in your skin, and that reduces bacteria from getting in your skin, so you can possibly prevent cellulitis, skin infections, or abscesses and things like that. And it's a barrier. Your skin is the biggest organ in your body, and it protects you from disease, virus, and bacteria.
So you want to be sure to take care of that.
Take care
because
of
that's your front line of defense.
That's it.
Especially in these winter. I think it's going down to maybe 19 degrees tonight. We're fixing to have a hard week on our cold weather, so people that are outside really need to listen to that supplement information. And of course, you have a full range. As again, it's a soft toss, but you do have a full range
I do. And
of supplements in your office.
And I always tell folks, if you don't want to get it from me, that's fine. But just come in here, read about the ingredients.
Go get the brochure.
But the ingredients is what you need to know about. And because those are the things that have been proven to help people in those areas. And that's what we're trying to do, is help take care of people.
There's, and I'm going to close with this. I thought it was pretty cute, but there's 5 simple rules to be happy, and this is the time of year for that. And I'm sure you would back what I'm fixing to say. Number one is free your heart from hatred, free your mind from worries, live simply, give more, expect less, and have a nice day unless you already had other plans. That's pretty cute, isn't it? But all that is concerned, I guess, with stress, isn't it? And stress at this time of the year is extremely.
You know, you hear it's a cliche, but let's don't forget the reason for the season and just enjoy it. Because, you know, I'm watching my kids grow up so fast.
Right. There you'll snap your eyes, son, and
savor
it'll be
those
gone.
moments. And, you know, if I've always been told that if things can be solved with money, it's not a real problem.
Right.
You know, over time, that'll work itself out. And most of the time, that's what we have problems with in families is money. And so just think about that. You know, pray, hope, and don't worry. And you can get over those hard times.
Live simply, give more, expect less. And that's nice. Have a nice day unless you already had other plans.
I like
All
that.
right. They say you have fun. Time goes by when you're having fun. So we're out of time. We certainly appreciate y'all's participation in the program. Please call 587-8176 for your questions, and we'll try to get you answers. And we certainly hope you enjoyed the program tonight. Doctor, we'll see you next week. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same station. Good night.